Understanding the economic struggles of Muslim-majority countries. Imagine bustling cities like Baghdad and Cordoba, once the epicenters of innovation and wealth, now grappling with economic challenges. What happened over the centuries that turned the tables? Let's dive into the historical, cultural, and institutional factors that shaped the economic fate of these regions. The common traits of poverty and faith. Countries such as Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, Jordan, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Yemen shared two prominent traits: significant poverty and deep-rooted Islamic faith. With the exception of the oil-rich monarchies of the Persian Gulf, many Muslim-majority countries face notable economic struggles. For instance, the average per capita GDP in these countries is $5,000 less than the global average. Theories explaining economic disparity. There are a couple of popular theories trying to explain this economic gap. The first theory suggests that Islamic religion and culture might be inherently opposed to economic progress. For example, it is argued that Muslims often resist concepts like commerce and democracy. Despite 60% of the world's nations being democratic, only 14% of Muslims live under democratic regimes. The second theory attributes these economic difficulties to colonialism, contending that Western powers have exploited and continue to exploit these nations. Historical prosperity, a different picture. However, these explanations might not tell the whole story. Historically, the Muslim Middle East was once incredibly prosperous. Around the year 1000, the Muslim world accounted for 10% of global GDP, thriving while Europe was in the Dark Ages. Cities like Baghdad and Cordoba were bustling economic hubs, and many significant inventions, such as algebra, modern medicine, and advanced irrigation systems, came from the Islamic world. Clearly, Islam itself wasn't a barrier to economic success at that time. The economic decline before colonialism. By 1700, however, the Muslim world's share of global GDP had fallen to 2.2%, indicating that economic decline set in long before colonialism. This suggests that neither religion nor colonialism alone can explain today's economic issues. So, what happened between the 10th and 16th centuries? Absence of large businesses. One significant factor was the absence of large businesses. Historical records from the 17th century show that almost 80% of businesses in Istanbul and Galata had just two partners. Unlike Europe, where large banks and companies emerged in the 17th century, the Middle East experienced significant delays in this development. Key reasons behind economic lag. Here are 3 key reasons for this phenomenon. Inheritance laws. In Muslim-majority countries, inheritance rules are based on the Quran, ensuring equal distribution among children. In polygamous societies, this meant inheritance got diluted among many kids, making it tough to gather enough capital to sustain big businesses. Consequently, businesses often dissolved when the owner died, giving little incentive to build large enterprises. Banking restrictions. Islamic law forbids interest-bearing loans, which stunted the growth of banking. While Europe developed financial tools like bills of exchange, the Middle East lagged behind, making business financing more difficult and expensive. Legal constraints. Non-Muslims often dominated economic activities in the Middle East because they weren't bound by Islamic law. Islamic courts rarely accepted written contracts as evidence, discouraging Western investment and stifling business growth. The alliance between religious and political authorities. Additionally, the close ties between religious and political authorities played a crucial role. From the 12th century onwards, the religious elite ulama gained power and formed close alliances with political leaders. This alliance emerged partly due to socio-economic changes like crop failures and urban decline, which pushed people to the countryside. To legitimize their rule, political leaders increasingly leaned on religious authorities, leading to laws that stifled economic growth. The impact of the printing press ban. A perfect example of this dynamic is the ban on the printing press in the Ottoman Empire for over 200 years. While the printing press revolutionized knowledge dissemination and economic growth in Europe, it was seen as a threat to the religious elite's control over knowledge in the Islamic world. The printing press allowed for the spread of diverse ideas and literacy, which could undermine the religious elite's authority. Historical constraints and modern realities. Despite these historical setbacks, things aren't entirely stagnant. Some Muslim-majority countries have adopted secularism and different economic models, though their approaches differ from the West. Movements like Arab socialism have had mixed results, and the future economic and democratic prospects of these countries remain uncertain. The role of historical institutions. To really understand why Muslim-majority countries face economic disparities, we need to look beyond surface-level explanations and dive deep into historical, cultural, and institutional factors. The intricate dance between religion and political power, coupled with legal and financial constraints, has played a pivotal role in shaping the economic landscapes of these nations. History matters, and the past has a long shadow that continues to influence the present. In summary, the economic challenges faced by Muslim-majority countries are complex and multifaceted. Historical prosperity in the Muslim world shows that Islam itself is not inherently opposed to economic success. Instead, a combination of historical events, legal constraints, and the intricate relationship between religion and politics has shaped the economic paths of these countries. To move forward, it is crucial to understand these deep-rooted issues and consider how historical institutions continue to impact present-day realities. What does the future hold for these nations? Can they break free from historical constraints and forge a path to economic prosperity? The journey of these countries is far from over, and the next chapter could redefine their place in the global economy. Stay tuned as we explore potential pathways and emerging trends that might shape the economic destiny of the Muslim world.